All right. All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Cedric. I'm one of the organizers of this tonight. I'm not from Paris. Yeah, sorry, I had to wear something like this. It was either my own company or Voice AI Space, but we're still like waiting for the production of a sweatshirt like this, or something from Toulouse, where we're from. So that was like a little, like a reference. It's the first time we're having a meetup in Paris, but we had a conference last December, a full day. So maybe some of you attended. We're gonna have, yeah, thanks for raising your hand. Yeah, we saw some faces. So we're gonna get started. We have 4 speakers tonight. And then we have nice food that has been ordered, nice drinks that will come out of the fridge. I know some people were expecting some drinks right when they came. We can still give some water for people who want it, in case you're like too complex for you. How many of you know voiceaiSpace.com? Okay, so you're discovering through the meetup. So perfect, because then I'll invite the one who started all of that almost a year ago. Yeah, that's up to you, Thibaut, to join me on stage and say a few words about voiceaiSpace.com, the platform that gathers all the information, news, jobs, the library of all the startups around voice AI. And you, where's your mic? I gave you a mic, the second one. He doesn't like mics. The way it's going to be, it's here. It looks like a bit formal, but the idea is really to have a lot of interaction. So all the speakers have been briefed. That demo and small presentation, and then Q&A. It's that's the spirit. Are you set up? Yeah, it's good. Okay, up to you. Yeah, explain a little bit voiceaiSpace.com.
Cool. So, first of all, thanks a lot for joining. Thanks also to the sponsors for helping us to make this happen. I'm not going to speak too much. I'm just going to explain to you briefly what is the Voice AI Space, why at some point I wanted also to start doing some events. So the story in a nutshell is I've tried to build a product using voice. I started when voice was not really sexy. We failed. And before going back to get a normal job, I said to myself, I'm going to share everything I've learned over the last year or so building this product. So I created the voiceaiSpace.com with one idea in mind. If I can help one person to not be in the shit I was at this time, it will be a success. The website became quite popular. Some really cool people reached out and they were like, how can we help? So we got I had a few sponsors who were helping me, and I said to myself, okay, online is cool, but in real life is better. I'm actually an events manager by trade. So I said to myself, okay, let's do one meetup and we see how it goes. And I think we did, I don't know, something like 10 yet in London, Dubai, Barcelona. We're going to New York soon. And soon we will start to do some hackathon. It's the next big phase. The cool stuff I think we will do. So pretty happy to have all of you here. Cedric is way better than me at speaking. That's why he's here tonight. And thanks to all the sponsors, all the speakers, and everyone joining. And I really hope you had fun, learned stuff. And please share some feedback at the end. It's useful for us. Okay, cool.
Yeah, thanks, Thibaut. Yeah, and also like some name drop, we might have Berlin, Amsterdam soon. We will be, and we try to have one every 2 or 3 months. And even if we start by ourselves, we want to get help because that's supposed to be community built. So we already have some volunteers that will thank at the end who were helping us, badging you at the entrance. But anyone who wants to get involved for next time, happy to bring you in this journey. And so we expect the next time to be around VivaTech maybe. We'll see when we do one. I think that's pretty much it. Without further ado, let's have our first speaker over there, Swati. You want to join us? We'll start with you because you were the first one ready, basically. So we're kind of changing, adapting to the. I need to. I'll leave you the screen so you can connect. Give you one mic. And any questions so far? remark, something, anyone wants some water, I can be the waiter and bring you some water. I'm fine doing that. And I'll bring you the mic as well. I love being the mic holder. Let me give you a mic and we'll be ready. Je peux lui donner. Non, il faut que je déconnecte. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I just want to share maybe my. Just give me a second. I want to make sure I do the presentation, but also have the notes for myself. All right, I think we're good.
Put this one for the live stream recording, and on your jacket on the side. By the way, we're starting something which is live streaming without announcing to anyone. So it's going to be recorded. So that's why we're trying this new setup over there, because a lot of people want to see what's happening in different cities. So first time tonight, and then we'll see different cities. So that's why the setup is a bit like chaotic between all the mics, but
I think,
yeah. Oh, good.
You're seeing live how we get ready. Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you very much for coming and listening, coming and listening to me also, or to everybody. And also thanks to the organizer for giving me the opportunity to actually share something what I learned during my journey of building a product with Voice AI. So I think I will, so who I am, sorry. First, I'm Swati. I am a product person. I'm a senior product manager at Criteo. And I'm going to be speaking from my experience of building VibeCV here, right? So before I go further, can I have a show of hands if you have talked to an AI, a voice AI, for over an hour? For over an hour, okay. 2, 3 people, okay. Let's lower the bar, 30 minutes? Or those automated calls? It's a kill fournisseur. I don't know. I am not speaking the French, but you know the spam calls that you get for the fournisseur? Okay, it's difficult. So last year, actually, I had a use case of extracting a professional experience via the conversation, voice conversation, and then converting into a CV. So that was my use case, and the product was the VibeCV. So I started building this voice CV that could talk to someone about their career and turn that conversation into a CV. And very quickly, I ran into interesting things. I didn't want it to spend a lot of time to show you how it works, because the main thing is actually the longer conversation and the tips. So that's the product. But what I learned, most AI systems are designed for short interactions. So customer support calls, the booking appointments, those conversations actually last, what, 3 to 10 minutes, right? But a real conversation, which we're going to have after this when we will network, right? Where do you work? What have you built? What decisions you made? That conversation can easily last more than an hour, right? So very quickly, I realized something. If I want to build anything meaningful with this voice AI, that has to last more than an hour, or at least it cannot just survive the 10 minutes sprint. It has to be a longer conversation. Okay, so let's talk stats already. You've seen the product very quickly. So the first batch of testers, I could already see they were dropping at 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Here you can see all the way from 10 minutes to 1 hour. And with each iterations, I was learning to say why they are dropping, because the voice AI was keep talking over them, or did not actually pick up what they were saying, misread the communication. So each iteration was learning for me, and the tuning process that I went through, and how I was able to at least sustain the conversation, including myself, for over an hour with the help of those tuning. So let's jump right in. Some you might already know, others this might resonate. First thing, end of interrogation. What that means. The first thing that broke was the conversation rhythm itself. Most AI systems, including the way I also went about it, was a follow a very simple loop. Question, answer, next question. This is simple, right? Sounds logical. But what happens in practice, it feels like a police interrogation, right? There is no reaction. What's next? So of course you get a very rich conversation information, but this is very mechanical. And that small thing matters, because when there is a human conversation, if you're going to tell me something, I'm going to respond to it before I pivot to another conversation, right? Very small tweak. So what I did, constrain the AI to say react first. Either you reinforce the message or you ask a follow-up question and then you pivot to the next one. And that simple change, I would say, made the flow of the conversation easier. So I don't know how many of you, when the ChatGPT was launched, when you used to have the conversation on the chat, right, it was disconnected. And eventually it gets so much better, you can keep on chatting for an hour. In voice, I think we are getting there. It's not there, but at least when I built it, it wasn't. So it's not ingrained, of course, you have to build that. So that's the first thing, to flow of conversation. The second thing that broke was the script, because of course, we will write the script, right? Ask this question. It's a very linear flow. So you will say step 1, ask this, step 2, ask this, step 3, ask that. But humans don't talk like that, right? I'm going to ask you about your professional experience or even anything, and you will tell me about a project, or you might jump into a leadership story, or you might say a technology or software you used 5 years ago. So it jumps. So what happens then? What happens in this situation, a scripted system either ignores the user, that they are jumping off the topic, or they will break the script. So instead of the linear script, what happened is I organized the conversation, and here I need to press, into independent buckets. So let's say these are the buckets like career, tech, skills, project impacts, and the user is talking, and then suddenly they start talking about their skills or the tech stack they use. So the AI is able to jump from one topic to the other topic easily without, even if the script is broken, basically, according to like the original. So the goal doesn't mean like, oh, we allowed AI to hop from one topic to another. No, you still have to finish each bucket. So the goal is to complete each bucket, but the order becomes flexible. So it's not like I'm going to ask you question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the order. Order can be anything, and we can hop easily between topics, but it's going to be flexible. Okay. So I can't stop it anymore, but this is an example. One of the scripts I took from the recordings to.
Yes, but I did do some team management when
Okay.
I was working for.
I plugged 2 recordings at once. So you're thinking that. So I'm just going to hop that over. What happened right there is actually the AI asked a question. Tell me about this job. She answered, no, I haven't managed anybody, but I'm going to tell you something I did 5 years ago. So then she said, okay, but that's not enough depth you're giving me to go to another career discussion. So I'm going to bring you back to this. So thank you for telling me about that and then bringing back. So I wanted to actually show you that recording when I pressed voice. So let's move forward. So depth over hopping, good. Now we can hop the conversation, great. Once we allowed the AI to move to another topics, another problem appeared. The conversation started jumping too quickly. So someone would mention project, and the AI would move to another topic. Oh, you want to talk about that project? Let's go talk about it. But there's not enough depth in that. Now, what happens, because this product that I was building about Vibe CV, which means you're going to talk, you will extract a very good stories, and the CV is going to be awesome. And if there is no depth in the CV, it's a list of bullet points. The CV that I am saying, you're going to get a CV real time, the output is going to be shallow. And as soon as you cut the call, you get the CV, and you will see the output is shit, right? So it's very, very important to have, at least for this product, to have not have the shallow information. So what I did is I added another constraint, which is, sorry. We will listen to this.
got good deals, multi-year deals, good revenue.
Okay, I'm going to stop because it's a little bit long recording. But what's happening here, what I did is actually, I asked, okay, you can stay in the buckets. I didn't add bucket here. You can stay in the bucket, but there were completion thresholds. So when you are in a career bucket, you need to make sure there is enough depth the speaker is going to before you actually close off and say this bucket is done. So I created certain parameters. The user needs to show the numbers. The user needs to talk about XYZ thing. What was the impact? Usually if you're going for a CV, if you've ever gone to somebody for a CV help, the kind of question they ask you to scratch the surface and get the real content out of you, those are some parameter and say, how did this user score in each bucket? 5 out of 5 provided 3 out of 5, and a certain threshold is reached. Okay, now I can hop off. So that way we ensure that yes, hopping between buckets is possible, but also each bucket we go to enough depth to make it meaningful. It's not a shallow bullet points thing. So yeah, this is that. And the recording was showing, actually, it's a little bit big recording and I'm going over time, so I'm going to skip that. In the recording, the user was saying, I manage teams, and the AI kept on going. How many? What kind of tasks you give? What's the outcome of the team? So like get real thing out of that. The final thing, which I also need to do right now, which is to breathe, is the final thing that broke wasn't actually AI. That's human. Even if a conversation is interesting, nobody can stay in the interview mode for an hour. It's mentally exhausting, right? So what I introduced is called breathers. Every 20 minutes, every X minutes, drop the tone that you're talking about, lower the tone, crack a joke, which is very difficult when you have multicultural. If you have to localize that, and or just say something light. And it doesn't need to be 1 minute, but it's something, a little bit of a humor that can reset that cognitive load, and then we go again. I did that because I was talking with the AI a lot, and I needed the break. And sometimes I just wanted to talk a little bit before I could move on. So this technique also helped, and I think, and I can show you.
Just like how you interrupted you, you hadn't finished stating the 1 minute, or just a second, something more to add. Since you chose to focus on.
Yeah, so here I chose not to show you a joke. I inserted a very poor joke before, but point being, you change the tone, the move, you lighten up a little, and then you can carry on. Okay, one last thing you already noticed is accent, right? Why did I chose that accent? So people can talk longer when they feel linguistically comfortable, right? If I start speaking in French right now, I'm sure you will be exhausted after 1 hour. We will not be able to network. So accent plays a bigger role than we actually expect. So if voice feels unfamiliar, people subconsciously spend a lot of mental effort try to understand the speaker rather than the conversation that's happening. So that's why that was a very intentional choice to put the accent that I put, because the testers were of a certain, let's say, location, right? So yeah, that's, and that was coming also from my personal experience, having a mentor who was a Scottish. So every time I had a session with this mentor, I would have to take 2 hours of a break afterwards just to breathe and come back to my normal working state. All that is good. So these are all the tips I would say I have. But after doing all that, because I'm a product manager, and at the end we are getting judged at how do we measure. So I looked at 3 things: engagement ratio. Are the user giving 10 words or a story? And that's a very clear sign if the user is dropping at 10 minutes or 1 hour. Miss and hits. It still happens where AI steps over and talks over you, misinterprets the conversation. So that's one of the things. Outcome. This is the key leading KPI for me. If the output of the CV is shallow, it's not going to fly. It's not going to work for me. I'm not going to use that CV for myself. So the outcome needs to really show, the user needs to really feel the conversation captured was meaningful or was something different that they would have created by, talking for 2 hours with ChatGPT. So that has to feel different. So because the goal was not just a long conversation, the goal of the conversation is that produce a high value information. So with that, I just want to give a takeaway. The real challenge of the conversation is, the 4 things I should have the 5th one, is a respond before pivot, allow topic hopping, because that's how we all talk, insist on the deeper conversations, because we are here for something, for a career discussion to extract the stories, and then lower the cognitive load so that the conversation can go longer. And I did not put the accent. This is just to say I started with, voice API, I will plug in and done, and then only to realize there is a whole conversation system that needs to be done to achieve that. Thank you, everyone. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. 1 or 2 questions? Yes, in the back. Hold just this one, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much for the presentation. I really enjoyed it, and as I work on this similar topics, I feel that they are related to my work as well. So I had a question regarding the thing you said at the beginning of the presentation, reaction before pivoting. I agree that having a reaction is a very natural thing to do, and it makes the whole conversation much more fluid, etc. But the moment you allow an LLM to flow into that direction, how do you would guarantee that it won't just start hallucinating enough or just flow into direction in the conversation that is not possible to take it back from? This maybe for the long conversation it's different, but when you have specific objectives to collect data, to do something else, this is a real issue.
When there is a long conversation, so let's say somebody is saying, my skill set is this, that is noted, right? But okay, I know that you have done 15% increase in this. I think it's just a week. That's why one of the things is to reinforce. That's number 1. Don't try to ask a follow-up question or add your thinking on top of it. Just reinforce, restate what they said. Sometimes just saying that was enough. So that was level 1. And then the other choice is if the user has gone for a long period of time, rephrase again in their sense. I'll say, I hear you. Specifically, something interesting was there was I did not capture, and then I would. Is actually when the user was hesitating, it can pick, I can see you are thinking about it. I can see you are, you're not sure about it. And that's what something was beautiful in capturing this via voice. So then you can have some follow-up. So, but yeah, I don't think so I reached that level of hallucination yet to answer. But if you have, you can tell me. Any other question, or maybe we can move to?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I was thinking about on the psychological aspect. I feel like my time is equivalent to someone else's time. So when I talk for an hour for an interview, I feel like it would be better for me to ask another LLM to answer this LLM question for an hour and feel like it would be sufficient. How can you train or use your voice LLM to make sure that the real person in front of you is not another LLM?
Ooh. Wow. In fact, you just gave me an idea that maybe we could do interview between first interview round with my LLM, with my agent. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. If that's really evaluation, right? How do you evaluate if the person in front of you is? I haven't reached that level. Sorry about that.
Just to give you one, I'll have to find a name, but there are companies that are specializing in that kind of analysis, especially in the finance world, wherever Voice AI are here to help your bank, for example. And for the first meetup we had in Barcelona, I remember the name, look for Manel, and maybe in the history of, and he was presenting a demo of how to detect when a voice-to-voice voice AI talks to voice AI, because they want to prevent that. If Thibaut, you remember the company name for Manel? we'll try to find it and we'll let you know at the end. Swati, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Yeah, we can have the usual big round of applause, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we'll
Let's
disconnect.
connect. So, Laura, if you want to connect, perfect. We'll get the mic.
I think we'll be disconnected,
Yeah,
right?
and I need
Oh.
the second mic. Yes, perfect. All right. Give the mic to Laura. So, can you? Yeah. You need this one on you. If you want to, so there are some seats available at the front. So if you want to join and you have a better sitting. And before we move on, yeah, you need to select which one. If you want to try, and I have no, relationship with them, but like one of the tools that I use is called Saywise, and there's another platform called Distro. Whenever I want to have long conversation with myself to brainstorm on a specific topic, I go in such a studio, and then I have this kind of a flow where I share my ideas, and then it help me, re-express things, and then it will. So it's quite interesting to test like long conversation like this if you want. So Saywise or Distro, these are two in the same category. Distro is a very French accent. Distro. Are you good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Laurent, and if you before. My commitment is like after this presentation, if you never heard about diarization, then you'll be an expert. Where to go? Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Laure. I'm the product marketing manager at Pianot AI. You may know Pianot due to Pianot Audio, which is our open source models. But today I will talk to you a little bit about Pianot AI. So as you are like old voice AI enthusiasts, you may sometimes struggle to get like real good results when you try to manage audio with noisy environments, multiple speakers, and things like that. Because most of the times the voice AI start with transcription, and it do miss some context about the conversation. And it's really where the performance of the transcription and TLS models struggles, because the lack of insight about the context of the conversation. Those happen because those models most of the time are being trained on clean audio with polite people talking one after each other in a real cozy environment. But if you do real voice AI in the real life, you know that humans are interpreting each other. They are talking about each other. They are sometimes talk in noisy environments, for example, in a meeting room really far away from the mic, or in the street, or even in the car and stuff like that. So as a result, the models don't really understand what happened within the conversation. They are not really able to just understand who speak when. So it can be a problem when you want to transcribe a conversation. And this is where Pianot AI comes in. So we are not there to replace any STT models or LLMs or other parts of the stack of voice AI. We are really there to bring a new layer of relevance and performance in terms of accuracy. So we are what we can call like speaker intelligence platforms. Concretely, we process conversational audio to answer basic questions that may sound basic, but when you try to build a voice AI stack, is can be tricky. Who spoke when, and for how long, and what did they say? What are the contexts of the conversation? Is there some interruption? Is there some silence? Is there some overlaps, and so on? And our models are particularly effective in low quality audio, so basically real life, and with audio that involve multiple speakers. Our technology is not really new because Pianot Audio exists since more than 12 years. Hervé Bredin, our co-founder, was working on the CNRS for almost 12 years. And he built the open source version of Pianot that has been downloaded more than 1 billion times on Hugging Face, quite a lot. And we have been using by almost like 200,000 developers all around the world. if you already test WhisperX, most of the time WhisperX is a combination of Whispers plus Pianote. So today for the demo, I will not be able to manage any API. I will just do the demo on our playground. So this is like the Pianote dashboards. We have a playground where you can test different stuff. So let me choose a file. I will choose this one. I will choose, we have demo effect, I would say. Okay. Why now? Tick, tick, tick. Just a second. It will work.
We try mirroring completely. Might be easier.
Yeah.
Alors, 38 22.
Do we will have the sound also or not?
Yeah, if you select the
Si je le fais en plus, voilà. Hop.
Je vais juste checker le son. C'est bon.
Okay, cool. So I choose our Precision 2 model. Precision 2 is our API model. We also have Community 1, which is the OCSS models. And I will add some transcription to it because today we can also provide on top of diarization what we call speaker transcript attributed transcripts, which is a mix between diarization and transcription. So it's more easy when you have like the time frame segments with the transcriptions to orchestrate together. So I will choose a Parakit and then I will submit the job. So just to give you an idea of the audio that I will try to manage is basically a conversation between two women. It will happen.
Hello. Oh, hello. I didn't know you were there. Neither did I. This is Diane in New Jersey.
And I'm Sheila in Texas, originally from Chicago.
Oh, I'm originally.
Okay, and as you see, the models give you the number of speakers. It will indicate you when do they speak, and because of the transcription, it will give you the transcription plus the time segment. And as you saw, the model is able to say, okay, they are talking about each other at those times, and here it's what they say. Within the diarization model, we also able to do like some exclusive diarization. So the model will choose which person is the most important to diarize or not. So this one was an easy audio. As I told you before, we are really strong on some really heavy environments with people talking about each other. So I will choose this audio. So just to give you an idea of the type of, so it's a, people are really far from the mic, right? So we barely heard anything. But if the demo works, which I hope, allez. Okay, so the things decide to not work. Let me change. Choose this one. Okay, so here we are in a restaurant, and we try to manage to understand who spoke when and what do they say. So as you heard, as you see, the model is capable to just like take out what has happened within the room, so the restaurant with really noisy place, and be able to distinct like the number of speakers and when do they speak. So basically, this is what diarization is. It's like just identify who speak when and be able to give you like the right type segment, so you will be able to have like the full context of the conversation. And that's it.
So usually the demo effect, that's level 1. Voice AI demo It's like level 2, so we're adding complexity usually. Any questions? Come on. Yes. It's you. You have 2 mics to hold.
Hi. Hello?
Hello.
It works. Yeah. Hi, thank you for the presentation. I had a question like the accuracy between the real time and non-real time, transcription and diarization. What's the rates?
So now our models are not really available in real-time modes. We are currently working on a new feature to offer streaming diarization. So I cannot give you a result of it because we are currently building it. So this is like something quite a news. It will be available soon. So maybe in 1 month I will be able to give you an answer about that. I know that real time is the really trick of voice AI right now, so that's why we're really trying like to work on how to give diarization results in streaming modes. I know that for most of our customers and users, it's really important. So we try to also give a result that is with the few latency possible ever.
Hello, thank you. So I'm guessing the quality kind of like degrades quite a bit if you have like 2 speakers versus 10 speakers. Do you know what the gap is roughly?
Usually it's quite the same. We are giving like the same quality of result for between 2 or 5. It doesn't really matter. We have we know from our users that they are pretty impressed about the results, especially in noisy environments. For example, we have a user, Jamie, I don't know if you know, it's like a transcription tools that you don't have to, it doesn't move on your, for example, Zoom or Google Meet. And you can record any conversation and then transcribe back later. And they were really impressed because it was like the audio that doesn't work. Everyone was really far from the mic and they were being able to identify all the speakers that you don't even hear by yourself. So it doesn't really matter the number of speakers. This is truly where diarization makes sense. It's no matter the number of speakers, we're giving like almost the same results.
Okay, one last question.
So my mother talks to me in, let's say in Scottish, and I answer back in French. Can you also do this direct translation?
So for Piano don't do transcription. Basically, diarization, it's no matter of the languages. You will just be able to say, here, there is a human that is talking. So no matter the languages, it will be able to manage the diarization. Then for the transcription, you have to be sure that you plug a SAT model that be able to do both languages. So Parakit is really good for all the European languages. So I will say like you choose Parakit, so you will be able to have that, both transcription for English and Swedish. But basically, diarization is not about like what people say. It's when do people say and what is the context of the conversation. So we took away the word. We really matter about when do they speak.
Great. Thank you. Short one, easy answer.
What if the same speaker speaks 2 different languages? Like that would be...
That's the tricky part.
Same speaker, 2 different languages?
In fact, the model will be able to know that it's the same speaker, because in Piano you can also use what we call voice prints. So it's basically a biometric stuff. So you will just print the voice, and so you will be able to find the same speaker in different type of audio. So depending on the language that you speak, the model will be able to just find you.
Great. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next with us will be Benjamin. Do you want to share the Actually, we don't need this one. One mic, second mic. Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
So hello everyone, my name is Ben. I broke my foot last week and that's one of the last things that AI cannot fix. So I'll be limping tonight. Cool, so I'm one of the co-founders of Maki. Thank you so much, Swati and Law, for paving the way because we're literally gonna extend what you've been talking about. Today, we're gonna talk about exactly why voice AI is not a product, but it has to be a system in order to work at scale, right? Before we jump into it, just a couple of words about what we do at Maki. So basically, we provide companies and some of the largest companies in the world with an end-to-end agentic orchestration platform, meaning that we run their hiring process from end to end. So we've got a series of agents that are connected and that take part in each of the very important steps within the hiring process, right? So screening, assessment, interviewing, up until the offer. So today I'm gonna show you what we do in screening. Before I show you what's under the hood, maybe I can literally show you what's the product. Before I do that, so I was in the taxi ride coming here, if that wants to work. So I had prepared a couple of slides, right? And then I stumble on LinkedIn on this guy. And what I had prepared is literally what he said. So if you want a summary of what I'm about to tell you, this LinkedIn post pretty much summarizes everything. So let's jump into the demo effect. This is Hecko, Mike. We never know what's going to happen. But if you want, I'll give you the link and you can test afterwards. So this is literally what some of our customers experience. So basically, candidates apply. And immediately after applying, they can talk to one of our agents, right? 24/7, 7 days out of week. And the great news is that, our agents, they work pretty much all the time, right? So at 11, if you want to talk to someone, that's doable. Also, they have unlimited patience. So you can be, a really, really, really dumb mother, and still the agent will be super nice to you. So that's the beauty of that system. Let's give it a try. So this is literally what we're using today to recruit some of our software engineers. Let's just change this. And let's go. Yes, we are AI EU compliant. So of course, I'm gonna accept. We want to make sure that everything is working properly. And then we'll give candidates a couple of guidelines because, interacting with an AI, as some of you have mentioned tonight, is not necessarily the most comfortable experience. So we want to make sure that, they feel well, comfortable. And once that's ready, let's give it a try.
Hi, this is Callie calling from Maki People. Am I speaking with Ben Chino?
Yes, this is me.
Sorry. Thanks for taking the call. I'm reaching out from Maki People about the software engineer intern AI role. Do you have about 15 minutes right now for a quick screening chat?
I have about 12 minutes. Is that okay?
That's perfectly fine. We can cover the key points in 12 minutes. Okay, moving on, I'd like to start with a few administrative questions. When is your earliest start date?
I'm pretty free right now, so I could start next week.
Got it. It sounds like you're available to start right away. All right, moving on. Are you authorized to work in France?
Yes, I am a French citizen.
Understood. Next, are you able to come to the office 3 times a week?
I'd rather do 2 times a week. Is that okay?
Got it. That works for me. Now I'd like to ask why you're interested in joining Maki People.
Because obviously you're building a great AI in the voice industry, and I heard the management is pretty sick.
Okay, you're interested in our AI work and the management style. All right, moving on to the next part of today's call, I'd like to briefly talk about your experience with a technical project you've worked on. Could you tell me about a specific project where you built an AI feature or worked with an agent system?
Sure. So I literally built a autonomous interviewer using voice AI and a combination of speech to text, LLM, text to speech, which is pretty cool, and it's used by hundreds of organizations across the world. It's assessed dozens of millions of candidates, so that was pretty cool.
Got it. You built an autonomous interviewer using voice AI, speech to text, LLMs, and some other tech. That sounds like relevant experience for this role. Now I'd like to ask a bit more about that project. What specific challenges did you face when integrating the speech recognition with the language model?
Kelly, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm actually doing something pretty cool and cooler than this interview. So do you mind if we reschedule this interview for later today?
I understand you'd like to reschedule. However, I'm an AI assistant conducting a live screening, and this interview cannot be paused or rescheduled for another time today. If we stop now, your application will be submitted with only the information collected so far, which may affect how it is evaluated. Do you want to end the interview now, or would you prefer to continue and finish these questions? Please confirm with a yes or no.
I'm gonna end now because otherwise I'll miss my slot to speak about what we do under the hood. So thank you, Kelly.
Understood, Ben. I'm sorry to cut it short, but since you've confirmed you want to end the interview now, we will submit your application with the information we've gathered so far. Thank you for...
So this is very rude. I mean, Damien, who programmed this one, actually made sure that you could not pause. In the vast majority of the screenings that we conduct, you can actually pause and resume later. So Damien here was pretty harsh with his candidates. So this is literally being used by hundreds of organizations across the world. We work with the likes of BNP Paribas, Capgemini, PwC, Ernst & Young, and so on. I'm sorry about the weirdness that happened. This is on 11 Labs, so we'll make sure to file a ticket on them. But as you can see, it's pretty convenient, especially for large organizations that want to recruit, what we call high volume jobs. So the reality of our businesses is that they have, I'll give you an example, right? BNP Paribas, they have 800,000 applications just for France in the course of 12 months. Prior to using Mackie, they were only answering 30,000 people, right? So you've got like 90% of people that apply. And by the way, it was boring forms. Huh? So you take 15 minutes to actually fill out like first name, last name, etc. So it's really like a pain in the ass. And they would never hear back again from the company. This is like horrible experience, right? Here, in just a couple of seconds, and again, remember that our agents work 24/7, right? In just a couple of seconds, you go back to work, you're a recruiter at BNP Paribas in the morning, you've got dozens of candidates that have been vetted throughout the night, so you can see literally their scores. And so what we do after that is we'll use all the call insights, so the transcript and everything, to extract the interesting pieces for us, right? So that's going to be like the eligibility criteria. I have the profile that matches the requirements for the role? But most importantly, and this is where science kicks in, we'll actually assess for skills, right? And so this is where we literally use parts of the transcription to infer, is this person good with this or that skill? And this is very, very complicated to do. So I'll show you how we do that. But imagine the gain of time for companies that do that at scale, right? This is like tremendous. So that is a pretty cool example of what we can do using voice AI. All right. So like I said, what he said, right? AI is hard. I mean, you've all seen that last week, right? Imagine that happens during a conversation, like you're literally saying something and all of a sudden the AI starts talking about something else. We don't want that to happen. I can guarantee you, we work with Delta Airlines. I can guarantee you that if that happens, they ship me in the US and they send me to jail immediately, and I don't want to go to jail. So we have to be extra careful about what we do. And again, if you work in voice AI, not all conversations have the same weight. So if you order a burrito and something goes wrong, so what? But if you're applying for a job and that can literally change the course of your life, it matters what happens during that conversation, right? So we have this tension that we're constantly fighting with, which is we can provide a lot of control to the experience and make sure that everything is going to go well. But if we do so, then we do so without the naturalness. So if you want to have a very natural experience, super low latency, super fluid conversation, et cetera, you're going to lose on control. And so we have to constantly battle those two concepts. And this is what we're doing with Mochi. So I'll explain to you how we manage to find some balance between those two forces. So the first point is that most voice AI products fail precisely because they don't try and address that problem of control versus naturalness, right? There are a lot of voice AI platforms that you can use today. It's out of the box. You just drag and drop a couple of components and it works. The reality is that it won't work, or it will work for a 2 minutes conversation, as what he mentioned, right? But if you are having a 20-minute conversation where you go super deep on technical skills, it's going to break for sure. So the problem is that when it breaks, there's nothing you can do about it because it's out of the box, right? And so you can't understand why it failed, and there's no way that you can actually fix it. So you have to file a ticket and wait, which is what we're going to do with 11 Labs right after this call. And also, it requires for candidates to behave the way they were supposed to behave. And as Swati mentioned, they never behave the way they behave, right? You ask them a question, and they literally talk about something else. And that's the reality of hiring. That's the reality of interviewing. And this is something that we need to cope with. So again, that tension between naturalness and control. If you want control, the answer has nothing to do with what you just asked. Control will be, I don't care, I'm just repeating the question, right? You could acknowledge what the person is saying and so on. And this is naturalness. So again, we have that tension between the two. And then, last point, I went super fast on this, right? But you saw the extraction that we do with our interviews, right? Where we infer the skills of people. And under a lot of different regulations like GDPR, AIEU Act, et cetera, it's very dangerous to do that. So if you do that, you need to be prepared to actually answer the question, why did you rate that person the way you rated them, right? And so again, there's no way you can do that with just a simple prompt out of a voice AI platform. So you need to have a system under that. So that basically summarizes everything, right? It's very easy to ship a perfect demo, so that's the 90%. But the true reality, especially if you want to work with customers and large customers, is the 10% remaining. And that's literally going to be like 99% of the actual work that needs to happen. All right. So what's the recipe behind at least what we did and our conception of that world? We believe that voice AI is not a product, at least in the context that I've given. It is a system. And so for that system to work, you need to have a lot of different components orchestrated, just like a pipeline, if you will, right? So we have several components, speech to text. We have meaning and intent, which is basically an LLM layer. Under that LLM layer, we actually have an orchestration system, which is really like the core of what we do at Mackie. And then there's the extraction and then the text-to-speech. If I go very fast on those, speech to text, obviously you want something that is very, very robust, because this is where a lot of things can break. We're not inventing our own models, right? So we work with the best models like DeepGram, 11 Labs, and so on. But you still need to adjust for those, right? You can't just take them for granted. So for instance, VAD or turn detection, right? Most of the time, it's not going to work correctly. And actually, Victor, who's sitting over there, built our own turn detection. So when we should speak, when we should let the candidate speak. And by the way, there will be some candidates that want to be interrupted, and there will be candidates that like need 10, 15 seconds of calm before they answer, right? So how do you infer that dynamically? Very complicated. And by the way, I'm pretty happy because the echo did not have a meaningful impact on the demo, which means that we did our job well. Then there's the turning words into meaning, right? So what do I actually understand from what the candidate is saying, and how can I use that to steer the conversation? And so this is where the third part is actually very important. Our job at Mackie is not being a receptionist and just, handling a call like I need to book a ticket. Our job is to go from A, and not to B, to A to Z with all the different letters, because most of the screenings that we have, they're going to be like 10 administrative questions, 27 skill-based questions, and so on. So it's very complicated to do that. And so the way we do that is not through a single prompt orchestration, because that would break, right? If you believe that you can handle that context with just a single prompt, it's not going to work. And so what we do is we have what we call a finite state machine, which is like this huge graph of nodes. And each node is a bunch of prompts that allow us to steer the conversation. And so what I mean by that is basically we choose what to do next. From literally every sentence, there are a couple of agents that say, we believe that we should go to the next stage. We believe that we should probe. We believe that we should ask a follow-up question because we only got a partial answer to what we were expecting, and so on. And that is the true recipe to actually making a system work. It's going to be very complicated. I mean, I've literally like doubled the number of gray hair that I have working on that. But this is the recipe to success. So this is what it looks like in practice, right? I could go into the back office if you're interested, but basically we have all those nodes. Every single question is just a bunch of prompts deciding what we need to ask, how we need to ask it, when we determine that we can go next, and so on. So it's literally like super, super detailed engineering. This I can go very quickly, but also we never do things on the spot, right? The end goal of voice AI is just to converse, but any decision making shouldn't happen on the spot. There are so many things that could go wrong with this approach. just think about the quality of speech-to-text models, right? If you do that real-time streaming, it's not going to work. You're going to miss one word out of two. It's enough to steer a conversation because you can still infer the context. But again, if you're rating people, you need to do that ad hoc. You need to do that after the conversation. And so again, we extract evidence post-conversation in order to evaluate people. And text-to-speech, that's the easy part, even though 11 Labs still have some hallucination. I don't know if I mentioned, so I'm going to file a ticket. And last, evaluation is at the core of the entire system. Because it is so complex and because the impact can be so tremendous, we have to evaluate. And by evaluation, we mean simulation. So prior to a call actually going to a candidate, we run hundreds and thousands of synthetic calls where we mimic like the most edge case that can happen, right? So instead of answering the questions, we have this LLM candidates that just ordered pizza. So you're like, can you work in France? I would like a margarita. Okay, but can you work in France? I would still like a margarita. And we do that like for 10 minutes just to ensure that the model is actually doing its job and that it's not ordering a pizza, because who knows, right? This is not what we're supposed to do. So evaluation is, it's not just there to be there. It's literally a feature within the product. And these are just screenshots of what we do in evaluation. So at the end of the day, I think the core concept is voice AI is super hard. It's fucking hard. But if you want to do it well, if you want to do it with customers, if you want to do it in a way that can impact the lives of people, you have to do it well, and you have to over-engineer, because there's no other way. There's no shortcut. So I'm sorry if I broke some dreams, but we found out the hard way. We spent pretty much 12 months getting to the point where we are today, and there's still so much work left to do. But yeah, this is what needs to be done. And that's it. So if you have any question, very happy to take them. And yeah.
So I do have a question because, okay, I do have a question because what I saw that, for instance, in your model, you take away a lot of the us and the ahs, for instance. But I think during an interview, sometimes it can be also relevant to know how a candidate is speaking, if they come across with a lot of confidence or maybe not, how consistent their storytelling is. So do you have a way to take that into account as well, or is it only about the extraction of information about the candidate?
So that's a very interesting point. Under pretty much all international regulations, inferring the performance of a candidate based on how they react is forbidden.
Okay.
And so you would send me directly to jail.
Okay.
So technically, yes, we do have a way of doing that, but realistically, we're not doing that.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Is it working?
Close up. Yeah, close up.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for the talk. Super interesting. You spoke multiple times about changing the lives of the people, but is it like from the HR or hiring company's perspective, or from the interviewee's perspective as well?
So it's both. Obviously, when you tell your customers, hey, look, you're going to move to a world where you don't have to review like 300 CVs every single day and make, by the way, wrong decisions, because CV, the probability of you selecting someone good from a CV is less likely than flipping a coin. And that's just statistics. So, if you're looking at CV, just flip a coin and it will be easier. So from that perspective, it changes a lot of things, especially since you allow them to focus on things that matter more, like, engaging with candidates, potentially seducing candidates if you're at the end near an offer. But on the candidate side, what we're trying to do is precisely get out of the trap of CVs. And so we've had so many candidates tell us, a good example is Dior, for instance, right? There's a candidate that actually reached out personally to us because they had been rejected 4 times from Dior. They probably didn't have the right name or so. But in that experience, precisely because we didn't look at, CVs and so on, they outperformed every single person on the skill level. And in the end, they got a job at Dior after having been rejected 4 times on a CV. And so when you get those stories, it's life-changing for them. And they're literally like, I'm in the best company for me, thanks to you. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, I totally understand that. I mean, you are talking about bias handling. It may work, or it may amplify it and make a much bigger mess. But I mean, I'm talking about like in terms of human connections. When you are giving interviews, I mean, probably you showed an example about internship positions. Maybe that makes sense. But I mean, just if you think about as an interview perspective, do you also give weightage for the human connections, or how? I mean, different people answer questions differently, whether your model handles everything in an equal way or not.
Yeah. So we're not replacing human connections, right? So I'll give you another example. We support H&M recruitment in 60 countries, so that's around 2 million candidates, right? There's no way a human can talk to 2 million candidates. And so the alternative is just filling out long forms and boring forms and never hearing back from the companies. Here, they literally can engage with someone, ask any question they have about the location, about the job, about the remote policy, and so on. So this is actually driving a little bit more connection. Now we have a series of agents dedicated to that human connection, and we still want that human connection to happen. Back to what you were saying earlier about, do we change the lives of recruiters? We actually change the life of recruiters because instead of browsing CVs, they get more time to spend with candidates, and that actually increases the human connection.
Do we have one more question? I'll go over there if you don't mind.
What I find interesting is that this actually increases the company's accountability, the legal accountability, because everything is logged. And she was mentioning personality, right? People, real recruiters do actually make decisions based on personality or confidence, personal, let's say, assumption they make. So now everything is logged and everything is accountable for legally. This changes completely the way companies will have to choose people. And on the other hand, it might impact the human interaction because people who are not very good at social skills, but extremely good at answering will prevail in this case. And this might affect relationship inside the company. These are just...
Yeah, it's a fair point. So maybe just to piggyback on the last one. So 2 things. One, we can still measure those things, right? So for instance, we have a lot of social skills that we measure, like, working with others. I can think of many other power skills, as we call them, right? So you can still measure that, even though it's just, answering the question. But if you don't come up with the right situational judgment answers, it's not going to work, and we're not going to rate you well, right? And then this goes into a process. What I showed you is the screening process, right? But after that, there's probably going to be an assessment, and there's going to be probably 1 or 2 interviews where you can still measure those things. So I don't think we're taking them out of the equation. It's just, each step focuses on specific things. Oh yeah, for sure.
Because now everything is logged. Now I cannot justify in court that I chose that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but this is one of the first things that companies tell us. Interviews are black box. I have no idea why this person was selected over that one, and so now we're bringing a little bit more like facts on the equation.
You had a question, or you good? Quick one, then we'll be good. Here you go.
Thank you. How do you manage people who have like a speech impairment?
Yeah, stuttering and so on. So we use accommodation requests, so we can tailor the format based on your need. So we have text-based format, we have audio-based format, voice-based formats, and so on. So it's just a matter of having the right process and being able to switch them to the right experience.
So follow-up question on this: can I call the agent?
Yeah.
Over the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. And why the video?
So we actually call you. Actually, we do better than that. We send you an SMS, and whenever you're ready, you can tell us, and then we'll call you. Because most of the times, what we had done at the beginning is that people were never ready to take an interview. So that's the best process.
And do you do anything with the video? That's one.
Some companies like the videos.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Well,
if you have any question, I'm here after, so don't hesitate.
Nice. Thank you. All right. Yeah. By the way, I think I found why there was this noise. It's because these two mics together.
Ah,
Yeah,
so this
learning.
is why
This
the
is
11
true.
Labs.
No, we'll still find the ticket. I think we'll have someone. Do you have someone from 11 Labs? Are you from 11 Labs? No, we just have, okay. You have the jacket, right? Because I was like, oh, okay. If you don't mind, I mean, we need to because it's like food is almost there. I know people are like waiting for the beer, which is right after. And we have a really cool demo. And Benjamin said that he's staying with us. So we'll move on. Yeah, this one. Let's have this on you. So this maybe next time, maybe you attach on the side. So yeah, so we have it the other way. Yeah. I want to hide it. Okay, let's try it like this.
Yeah.
Mic like this, and we're good.
What's the?
Why that? Oh yeah. Yes. So think 5618.
How much do you have? Okay. Okay, I'll do my
demo and then 5 questions, and then we're good.
Okay.
All good.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, hi everyone. My name is Theo. I'm a machine learning engineer at AI Acoustics, a company based in Berlin. Flew in today to Paris. Very happy that there's sun here because in Berlin it's tough. Luckily, I mean, we had sun like yesterday, a couple of days ago, but I was just praying that we had sun here as well because Jesus. Very happy to be here and very interesting demos and talks. So I'm here to talk about our latest model. It's called Quell Voice Focus. And it's a model that operates with audio, and it's for speaker isolation. So let me give you a bit more context regarding this. Okay, so I'm just going to play an audio right now of a phone conversation between a human and a voice agent. And the audio will just speak by itself. Let's see.
Yes, definitely. I remember thinking about getting a solar for my home, so I'm definitely very much interested. In it, yes.
That's great to hear. Thank you for confirming. To make sure we can provide the best advice and solutions for you, I'll just ask a few questions.
Yes, I'm listening. Michelle, are you good? Did someone kill you? I hope you're there.
Well, luckily Michelle was a voice agent, so she didn't die, but you probably get the gist. So what happened here is the voice agent was interrupted by background speech. And this can be quite frustrating sometimes when you're like in very loud environments and you're expected to have a conversation with a voice agent and the voice agent just thinks that you're speaking, but you're not. So this is basically, it's not a flaw on the agent per se. Like this agent works with speech-to-text models. I mean, Benjamin already talked about this. Pioneered as well. And the thing is, speech-to-text models, they usually are made for basically capturing all the intelligible audio. And that's the design of the solution. That's not an issue. But the issue is that sometimes when you speak to voice agents, you don't want to have all this background audio. You want to isolate the main speaker, and you want to basically all what's far field distractions, you want to remove it. So people around you, TVs, radio, anything that could like distract the conversation, could steer it somewhere else, you just want to get rid of it. So you want to effectively like a filter that can do that. And this is why we built this, this model called Voice Focus. And I'm going to give you a live demo right now. So, go back. Right, so this is on Hugging Face right now. It's public. Anyone can use it. What I'm going to do, hopefully it works. I haven't tested here with a microphone, but we'll see what happens. Right, so what I'm going to do, basically, I'm going to
start speaking, and we're going to have a live transcription from, well, here we're using a Zoniax as our speech-to-text provider. I'm going to start just talking. Okay, so I'm being transcribed right now, live, by two, well, it's the same speech-to-text provider, but on one side, we have Quail pre-processing this audio and filtering out, ideally, the background speech, and on the other side, we have the raw transcript. So left side, enhanced, right side, raw. I'm going to play a video of myself speaking to try to enact a background speaker relatively close to the microphone, and well, let's see what happens. Okay, see if this works. Okay. Okay.
There can be background noise, background speakers, transmission artifacts. So here at AI Acoustics, we built.
I don't know if you can hear it. This is the max volume from my phone.
The goal is simple. Test how well models.
But basically, what's happening is I'm being transcribed by the raw transcript, and with the enhanced model, this is not happening. And that's what we tried to do here. We tried to basically get rid of background speakers and just keep the foreground speaker. So I'm going to stop the demo right now and like explain a little bit how we did this. All right, back to the presentation. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna talk too much about how we train our model. This could be a bit overwhelming, but basically what happens is how we train our model was we kept in mind two things. So first of all, we wanted to make sure that we optimized for speech-to-text performance, so not human perception. So we didn't want the audio to sound pristine. We just wanted the audio to be transcribed correctly. So that was number one. And number two, we wanted to mimic real-world scenarios so that the model could pick up on cues that actually happen in the real world. So it could learn in real time what's happening and who's the main speaker and who's not. So usually you have, when you train a model, well, for this kind of scenario, well, you start with a primary speaker and noise, and then you can combine them, and then you teach a model to just ignore the noise. That's a denoiser, and people have gone very good at it. But this is an oversimplification of the real problem here, at least for our use case. So what we did was add more speakers, secondary speech, and media devices like TVs or radios, and we tried to also, just to get like a more challenging situation here. And then we stitched everything together with something we called room simulation. So we basically put like the main speaker virtually in a room, close to a microphone, and then added speakers in the background at different distances, other distractions as well, like noise. And we just like computed like based on the reverberation of all these other sources, how the model, just to teach the model, these people are too far away, ignore them. Then we added more things that I'm not going to go over right now because it could be a bit overwhelming. But we have like a whole other section of augmentations for our data pipeline just to mimic the real world as close as possible. But I'm going to skip over this. If you have any questions later, I'm happy to answer them. Then basically once we have our trained model, how can we evaluate it? And this was also a tricky part because the previous part we could do synthetically, but evaluating your model, you want to make sure that it does well in real life. Okay, this image was made with AI by Fabian, one of the co-founders of AI Acoustics. And you can tell it's synthetic because the guy's hand is peeking out of the glass, which cannot really happen in real life. And this is kind of what we were seeing with like the data sets that we found, the evaluation data sets that we found on the internet. Like they were okay, but they were just not what we see in real life. So in order to, well, let me give you an example. So for example, on Hugging Face, you have the speech recognition leaderboard. And here you have a bunch of speech-to-text models that are incredible. You have Parakeet, like it was mentioned before, and many others. And these models do very well at transcribing speech. On these open source data sets, they have very low word error rates, which is amazing. But the issue is that this is not depicting really like what you see in the real world. Like these open source data sets, they are not like, they're not for a use case. Like they're very good for scenarios like the one that I was mentioning at the beginning, when you have like maybe a meeting and you want to transcribe everyone. But if you want to ignore background speech, this is not realistic. Another example is, for example, Pipecast also released a benchmark, STT benchmark data, where they tested a bunch of commercial STTs on their data set, and they all did incredibly well, and that's amazing. But if we listen to some of these samples, okay, we can't hear. Let me see. All right. Well, I guess you're gonna have to trust me on this one. But basically, these samples, they're just very clean. They might have noise and so far and so forth, but they're not representative of what we're trying to do here. So I'm gonna get back to the presentation. Yeah. So that's why we also try to create a new evaluation data set to try to mimic the real world. This is obviously an exaggeration of what's happening in the real world, but like I think, well, you get the gist. We're just trying to mimic noisy and I guess real life scenarios. So what we did, we basically created a semi-synthetic data set. So we used pre-recorded clean speech, and then we passed it through. I mean, you see my cursor here. This is an artificial mouth. It's basically a speaker that mimics human speech. And so while this artificial mouth was speaking, basically, we had also some background speakers. You can see also up here, we had some other speakers in the background that were like also playing background speech and noises and other things, basically the stuff that you don't want in your final audio. And all this was being recorded with a computer and a phone. And then all this audio then was sent to different messaging apps just to get also compression and just to try to mimic the real life cycle of audio. This was, well, I also want to say this was a very fun project to work on. Yeah, although it was tedious and time consuming, it really gave us a data set that we felt like we were like pretty comfortable with evaluating a model. And we called it Donchorus, and we made it open source. So it's also on Hugging Face. And I wanted to show you how it sounds, but apparently the audio is not working. So, I mean, I'll try. Maybe it's fixed now. Let's see. Okay, it's not. But basically, this data set contains 450 samples of clean main speaker ground truth. And then we have a mix here on the side, which is like, yeah, speech also with background noise and with like artifacts from compression and noise and stuff. And then we also have human verified transcripts that come with the data set so that you can also see if it actually transcribes well. Should I try again?
Not sure.
Okay. Okay. Then, well, okay. You can just look it up on Hugging Face. It's open source. Let me go back to presentation real quick. Okay, so then we used, yeah, I have to talk about plots, of course. Then we used this model to evaluate, so this data set to evaluate how the different speech-to-text providers work with and without our model, Quailworks Focus. And we saw some surprising things. So first of all, well, here this plot, we have here the word error rate, which indicates how well transcriptions are going. Higher the word error rate, worse. And we have the gray bar, which is without the model, and blue bar with the model for different speech-to-text providers. And although we can see that with the model, everything works a little better. It's interesting seeing how different it works across the different speech-to-text providers. For some of them, we only improved 10%, for others, almost 50%. But another important thing that we found was we split the word error rate into insertions, deletions, and substitutions. And we saw that the insertions was the main force that drove the word error rate for all these speech-to-text providers. And with the model, we were able to reduce that because we were able to get rid of a bunch of this background speech. But to be fully transparent, also at the cost of more deletions. And this is a good segue for my next slide. Okay, so word error rate, insertions, deletions, and substitutions. Basically, yeah, it's always like a balance. And when we saw that, we decided to test a couple things. So we wanted to see how well, we wanted to see basically if we could be the best in terms of insertions and deletions and substitutions. So we basically tried experimenting with a parameter that we call enhancement level that basically is able to control the aggressiveness of the enhancement per se. And we tested it on 2 different commercial STT providers. And we saw that the behavior is similar. The less amount of enhancement, the more insertions we have, the more amount of enhancement, the least insertions we have. Insertions are in blue, by the way, but also deletions kind of go up as we enhance more. So we just decided to expose this parameter for users to be able to decide how much enhancement they want to use, because, for example, for DeepGram, this trade-off kind of like happens earlier in the enhancement level, but for Zoniox, it happens later. So ultimately, we just wanted to let the user decide, because everyone has a different audio stack. Every speech-to-text model works differently. So we just said, we can't have a one-size-fits-all. Let's let people decide how much they want to enhance their audio. Yeah, and with that being said, you can use this model. It's available on 2 platforms, LiveKit and Pipecast. They're both platforms for real-time AI pipelines. And in case you have a custom stack, you can also integrate it with our SDK. It's also very simple. You don't have to talk to any salesman or fill up any forms. You just sign up in the platform, put your email, and then you can just create an SDK key and just read the docs, and just, in 10 minutes, you can have it working. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and any questions you might have, I'm here to answer.
Thank you, Theo. So who has one question? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting. So my question is, so basically I have 2 questions. Yeah. So the first one is, did you try to to collect more data in a different environment, like in different rooms or with different maybe neighborhoods, behavior, stuff like that? Because this is one of the big issue. And the second one is, when you let's say delete the background noise, did you intervene from basically on audio side or in both on let's say on text side? I mean, did you play with both, or we just sound levels and stuff like that?
Okay, so for the first question, thank you for the question, by the way. For the first one, for the training, we had to create a lot of data, and to create all this synthetic data, we used many different virtual rooms. So we captured different room impulse responses to have different reverbs and different conditions. For our evaluation data set, it was all done in the same place with different speakers. But yeah, it was in the same room. So we are working on expanding this to have it happen in more places. But yeah, so far, it's very hard to obtain real world data that is good enough to mess up the transcripts, but it's also not so hard that it's impossible to transcribe them. So it was pretty hard to get this data set. So we knew that room worked very well because everything was well under control. But we're trying to expand it. But for the training, many different rooms, virtual though. And for the second question, we only work with audio, so our model only touches audio. Of course, to see if it works well, we're constantly looking at how well it does with transcription as well across all these STT providers. So, but yeah, we only touch audio.
Yes. And then it's going to be the last question.
Thanks for the presentation.
Closer to the mic.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the presentation. I have two questions. One is regarding your data set creation. I mean, your setup looks pretty standard. I mean, have you tried simulating it instead of, I mean, once you measure the impulse response of your speaker positions, everything, instead of changing the rooms or instead of changing the speakers, you can simulate everything, right? Have you tried simulating? Just, I mean, it's just purely live recorded data.
We tried simulating it and we never got results that sounded convincing. That's why we went for like a real recording, because ultimately there is like compression from, I guess everything was being recorded onto like regular devices. And we also like wanted to make sure that, like in our case, when we tried doing it artificially, there was always, like, you could always tell that there was something wrong. And once you put everything together in the real life and you compress it using like different compression, like codecs and stuff, you get like an actual feel that everything is real and comes together. And that's something that we've never been able to do synthetically, but it worked well enough, I guess, to train our model.
Cool. Yeah. All right. And the graphs that you have shown, like, what are the minimum number of microphones do you need? Like, were they all based on single mic data, or do you need like multiple microphones?
For the graphs?
For the speech enhancement to work optimally.
You mean this one?
Yeah.
I mean, all of this was done with one microphone. Yeah. What do you mean using more microphones? Sorry. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the question. Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
We're good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah. We're going to propose. So, thanks again, all of our speakers. Thanks our partners. Thanks Hexa for welcoming us here. And it's not the end, because now food over there will be brought to you. We have drinks that's coming out of the fridge. I think we're going to change a little bit what I said to the team, which is basically we're going to have some drinks here, food over there, and then we'll do some setup. And I just want to make sure that I want to thank our partners, but also we had 3 volunteers tonight helping us. So we had Bagia and Navarre were over there. They are students at EPITA looking for internship AI engineers. So if you need, and we also had Tristan, who is Tristan over there. We're just here to learn and network. So make sure you talk to Tristan as well. And time for drinks. C'est l'heure de l'apéro. Thank you very much. Thanks again, AI Acoustic, Pianote AI, and Hexa. And Thibaut is already over there doing all the food stuff. So yeah, thank you very much. Oh. Here we go. Yes, I need this one. We're good. Let me try.